Hi, I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. And speaking of bright light, 2 days ago on Tuesday, we had a wonderful new moon at 19 degrees of Libra. And that is why the title of tonight's show is Bits and Pieces. And that is because bits and pieces of truth are related perhaps now to the creation of a peace pact or some sort of new partnership, because partnership is what Libra rules. But it also rules the law, and it rules all legal forms of working together, such as contracts that are signed. And it can rule marriage, but it can also rule business partnership. So there is the possibility, after a thorough examination of someone's work record or of their performance in one way or another, you could decide whether you really want to trust them or whether they're worthy of your trust. And if they are, you may decide to create a partnership with them, and that would be something wonderful. Libra also rules compromise and diplomacy and tact, and Libra rules not only the law, but it rules the arts, and particularly decorative arts. And so Libras are very artistic people, and they have a very good color eye. They can tell the different shades of colors really well. And so the Libras are people that want to smooth things over. They want things to look good. They're willing to sort of forgive and forget a little bit, or they're willing to compromise. They're not real demanding people, but what they do like is fairness and balance. They like things to be well balanced. So they are very partnership oriented. They make good partners, but they also can be looking for partners, the right kind. And that is something that we all may be able to do now as we are under the influence of this new moon, because it was at 19 degrees. And when we reduce numbers, we add their digits. So 1 plus 9 equals 10. We reduce that again, 1 plus 0 equals 1. 1 is the number of new beginnings. And so this is a time when, after a thorough examination of the truth, there can be some new beginning based on the truth. And why is that? That is because there are 3 planets in Libra under this new moon: the Sun, the new moon, and Mercury, which is now direct. So there can be some very good news about partnership or legal issues right now. But behind those 3 planets are 3 more. 3 planets in Virgo, and one of them is Libra's own ruler, Venus. So Venus, Mars, and Jupiter in Virgo are backing up and supporting the Sun, the Moon, and Mercury in Libra. That is 6 planets and only 2 signs. There's a powerhouse of action going on there. But the planets in Libra are not fortified. There's nothing in Gemini, and there is nothing in Aquarius to support them. However, the planets in Virgo are fortified, and so that makes them very strong. So Venus, Mars, and Jupiter, which is at 13 degrees, are all trining Pluto in Capricorn, and it is at 13 degrees. That's an exact trine between Jupiter and Pluto. And that simply means, since Virgo does rule details and the facts, and it rules accountability, and it certainly rules performance record, particularly at work, since Virgo rules service to others, and it does rule the traditional 6th house of work. It simply means that there can be some new partnerships formed, and they might be at work. And that is after a very close examination of somebody's work record. And upon review of all of that, you may be deciding on whether to form a partnership with somebody, depending on whether they are truly qualified. And that can be verified as well. So this is a wonderful time to think in terms of a new partnership. But it's really based on the bits and pieces of factual information that have already been accrued by somebody. In other words, they've already got that track record. What you need to do is really look it over and see if it all adds up. Now, why is it important that the facts add up now? Because you can't make a fair and balanced decision, whether it's legal or illegal, if you don't have all the facts. And so we have to add up those bits and pieces. And Libra rules love. And so it's it's really true that love comes in little ways. And so if you're thinking about love and you're thinking about marriage, or you're even thinking about forming a business partnership, maybe if you've reached a stage where you've got to be a little bit more legal about it if it is going to succeed and expand, then you've got to look over the bits and pieces that make up a relationship. And there should be some very good bits and pieces in there. Venus and Jupiter are in Virgo. There can be some irritating ones as well, since Mars is there and all three planets are backing up that new moon. But still, it's the only way to make a fair judgment is to get the facts and the truth. And that's what we can be doing now. And that can have a lot of different effects. One of the big effects that we can see in examining the bits and pieces of truth is that when they emerge, they can give people in a position of power the ability to make decisions or to change policies. And that can be what is going to be the outcome of this new moon. And the reason why is that behind the new moon are, as I said, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter in Virgo, and they are trining Pluto in Capricorn, and Pluto represents people in powerful positions in government agencies or in corporations that can make or change policies. Now, the reason that that's important is because there are 5 planets in the cardinal signs right now, and they are all harshly squaring and opposing each other. So there are people that are going to refuse to compromise. Even though the new moon is in Libra, which rules compromise, they're going to refuse to do that. Or they're going to want their own way, no matter whether it's fair or not. And so that is because Pluto in Capricorn, which is very well fortified, is squaring the new moon and Sun and Mercury in Libra, which means that even people who are very well balanced and who are certainly worthy of people's trust are going to have to toe the line and follow the policies to the letter of management right now. But Pluto is also squaring Uranus in Aries. And Uranus in Aries indicates somebody who can be very unusual. They can be ahead of their time. They can be rebellious. They can certainly want to do everything all their own way because Uranus is in a fire sign, Aries, which rules the pioneer. And also Uranus in Aries is opposing the Sun, Moon, and Mercury in Libra. And so those are the 5 planets that are coming head to head with each other. But the one that's really fortified and powerful is that Pluto. And so that simply means that management now can examine the bits and pieces of truth about somebody or even about an organization, and they can change policy or form policy based on the truth. When that happens, there is the possibility there can be a favorable legal decision made based on the truth, the bits and pieces of it that do add up now, and that favorable legal decision can be against some arrogant commander who is very used to having everything their own way, and they could be deposed now, or their departure could be imminent simply because they're not partnership oriented at all, and they're certainly not looking for peace, they're looking for dominance. And that's what I think is going out the window right now under this new moon in Libra. All right, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, I think you've had a mighty good run in the last year, and that is because Jupiter in Leo has been trining your sun for a year. It's not doing that now. But the whole time it was doing that, you probably had a lot of good opportunities, and you probably had a pretty enjoyable year, and you were probably rather popular, and that's wonderful. But I think you've gone one step too far. And if you have, Aries, then there is going to be an opportunity for you to start over somewhere else. And that is because the new moon in Libra, along with the Sun and Mercury, are opposing your sun sign where you have Uranus, and Pluto in Capricorn is squaring it. And there is not as much fortification in the fire signs anymore. You've been used to getting a lot of backup because you had that for a long time. but it has waned. And the reason why is there are no planets in Leo. There's only one planet trining yours, and it is Saturn, which is a very serious, slow-moving planet in Sagittarius, and that is trining your own sun sign. But that trine, the effect of it cannot override this harsh square and opposition that is going on among cardinal signs right now. So I think you've gone one step too far, Aries, and someone is going to demand that you get a better education, even to qualify for what you're doing now, or else they may decide, based on bits and pieces of truth that have come together, that perhaps you do not fit in their business plan anymore, and you may have to move on, or there could be some budget cuts. So I think there is a change on your horizon, and I think you're going to love it, Aries, even though it will be a change. And the reason why you're going to love it is that your sign rules new beginnings. And if you have to start over, first of all, I don't think you'll be hurt financially very much by that, because I think you've got some financial backup already, and you could welcome a change because your sign does rule new starts. That's what you do best, Aries. So I hope you can, I hope you take the truth with a big grain of salt and just decide that it's opening the door of opportunity to you, and then I hope you walk through it, because I think you're going to do real well, perhaps somewhere else. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this is a time when I think that you benefit greatly, because Venus, your ruler, rules two signs. The other sign it rules is Libra, where the new moon was 2 days ago. And now we know that that new moon, Sun and Mercury in Libra, were being powerfully backed up by Venus, your own ruler, Mars and Jupiter in Virgo, which are trining your sun sign, Taurus, and Pluto in Capricorn is also trining your sun sign. And that simply means, I think you're sitting pretty, Taurus. And I think that even though this new moon represents a new beginning or the possibility of a new partnership or some sort of peace or compromise going on, I think that that's all right with you, Taurus. But for you, what it just represents is that you're in a little bit more solid on the financial side or the employment side, or your long-term security is looking better right now. So that is all to the good. I don't even think you have to do anything else, Taurus. I think that you're just in a very secure position right now, based on bits and pieces of truth that are becoming very evident to other people, particularly to management. And so in your own small way, as you work hard and people can see what a difference that makes, that could have a good effect on your future as management takes stock of all of that and perhaps makes a nice decision in your favor down the road. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, this is a time when I think you certainly benefit from the new moon 2 days ago, because the Sun and Moon and Mercury, your own ruler, were in Libra trining your sun sign. And that simply means that you, at the very least, you can get some pretty good news coming your way right now, because Mercury is direct, and it could be coming from a very nice person who could be a potential partner of yours, Gemini. Even if it was only in a short-term project, it would be absolutely delightful. Or there can be some favorable legal decision that is being made. Even if it's on behalf of someone else, it could reflect well on you, Gemini. And so I think that all that is to the good. You still need to really watch your health, and if the bits and pieces of truth are being closely examined right now, there could be some things that are somewhat challenging to you, and that is because Venus, Mars, and Jupiter in Virgo are squaring your sun. Saturn is opposing it, and Neptune in Pisces is also squaring it. So if you've fudged anywhere in your work area at any time in your life, Gemini, that could be coming out right now, and you may have to deal with that in one way or another. But I still think you're going to get some favorable news right now that will make you pretty happy. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, this is a time when I think that you just have to live with the way things are, because you can't change them. And that is because that new moon in Libra with the Sun and Mercury there as well, were all squaring your sun sign. So there is the possibility that upon examination of a work record or of some records that add up to bits and pieces of truth, that a favorable legal decision can be made, and perhaps on someone else's behalf. And that's the way it goes right now. It doesn't necessarily reflect poorly upon you, Cancer, but it doesn't mean that you win anything right now either. And it can be that there is a possibility of a new partnership being formed, and it would not be with you. And the reason why is that there are changes in budgets and changes that management wants to make, and Pluto in Capricorn is opposing your sun, and Uranus in Aries is squaring it. So there are 5 planets in cardinal signs right now that are harshly aspecting your own sign, and that is why you really need to just, okay, there's all kinds of changes around you can't do anything about, but you can follow a dream because Neptune in Pisces is trining your sun. And so I strongly urge you to think a little bit more about your hopes and wishes right now, Cancer, and get to work on them, even if it's just little by little, because you can be wildly successful with that in 2 years. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, there aren't any planets in your sun sign anymore. Oh, isn't that strange? There have been planets in your sun sign for a whole year, and that's because Jupiter was there along with other planets. So you've had a good year too, Leo. And that new moon in Libra along with the Sun and Mercury are sextiling your sun, which means that upon careful examination of facts and truth, there can be the possibility of a nice partnership coming your way, at least the opportunity for it, and you should consider that. Another reason why you should consider that, Leo, is because Saturn in Sagittarius is trining your sun for the next 2 years, and it is a planet of commitment. It requires sacrifice as well, but it does give rewards. And so you are a person who may be thinking a little bit more about love and maybe wanting to get married or at least get engaged. Or you may be wanting to take a fledgling business of yours to the next level and get a little more legal about it. And you would have the opportunity to do that, Leo. So I suggest you take a look at all that, because there are 6 planets right ahead of your sun sign, the 3 in Virgo and then the 3 in Libra. And that simply means that you're coming into a time of greater activity. But as long as you are willing to face and add up the bits and pieces of truth about something, I don't think you can go wrong. So don't kid yourself about anything right now, Leo. Really look at the facts and line them up, because something has to add up or else it's no good. And you don't want to get stuck in a losing position. That's why you need to be real careful about the facts right now and look them over twice if you have to. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, this is a time when you can be seeing that new moon right ahead of you, and since it was the Sun, Moon, and Mercury, your own ruler, that were in Libra ahead of your sun sign, it simply means that upon close examination of the facts, which is what you do every single day, Virgo, since your sign does rule accounting, I think that you are going to be able to add up the bits and pieces of truth about a health condition or about a work matter, and you may see somebody around that would make a good partner who is every bit as reliable and conscientious as you are. And if you do see somebody like that, you really should entertain the thought of forming some sort of partnership with them, Virgo, because this is the right time to do that, and they would be willing to compromise on things, and you would too. So, you know, I think that management really likes your style. Remember, Pluto is trining all 3 planets in your sun sign. But you're going to need help in order to succeed this year, because you're going to have so much to do. And there can be somebody very nice out there that would make a good partner. So I think you ought to look around and try to associate with them, because they would be quite agreeable to helping you out in one way or another, Virgo. And that would create a step up for both of you. So I think it's an advantage to both of you. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is a wonderful new moon for you, and that is because, how could you lose? The Sun, the new moon, and Mercury are all in your sign, and they are all direct. And that simply means that it is you that is going to shine right now, Libra. And what will be shining about you are the bits and pieces of truth, probably about a work or a health matter, that should add up to something pretty good right now. It doesn't mean everything's perfect in your life, but it should be pretty good right now. And that is because behind the scenes, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter are in Virgo, really supporting the new moon in your sun sign. And they are going to be moving forward. And actually, Venus is going to come up and it's going to conjunct Jupiter in about another week or week and a half. And that is a marriage tie for everybody. And yet it's got to be based on the bits and pieces of truth that we need to face right now that can add up. And if they don't add up, then you do not have a good partner prospect. But if they add up and you can see that the good outweighs the bad a lot right now, then probably behind the scenes in your life, Libra, there will be an opportunity for you to improve. And it's either your health that's going to improve, or your bank book that's going to improve, or else your work situation is going to improve in a way that could make you very happy. So I hope you're open to change and compromise right now. Those are the things that you're good at anyway, Libra. So I think there is a possibility that upon close examination of truth, management may see that in all fairness, that you should be granted some sort of favorable legal decision. And I think you can get that right now. It will astound somebody who is arrogant, who has been riding over you for a very long time, because they're going to lose. And then they will have to depart. They'll have to start over somewhere else. I don't think they'll mind that, but they'll have to do it. And so I think this is a turning point for you, Libra, but it's a real good one. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is simply an unusual time when there are no planets in any of the fixed signs. And that means there is nothing squaring or opposing your own sun sign, Scorpio, and that's very good for you. It means that the planets that are surrounding your sun sign are really giving you a lot of support right now. Certainly you will be able to examine the truth, particularly about financial matters, and you will be able to add up those bits and pieces and see who is really worth money and who isn't. And that is because Venus, Mars, and Jupiter in Virgo are sextiling your sun. And then another 3 planets, the Sun, Moon, and Mercury, are also sextiling your sun. And Pluto in Capricorn is sextiling your sun as well. And it's trining all the planets in Virgo. And Mars and Pluto are your rulers. This is absolutely an excellent time for people who are very careful with money to be able to get financing. And I don't think there's anything stopping them, but they have to have a sort of a perfect record. And you probably do, Scorpio. So behind the scenes, people can see that you really do want peace and that you probably are a pretty good partnership prospect right now. But it's you that's got to decide how the money has to be divided or allocated or spent. And that is worth thinking about right now, because you could do really well with money right now, Scorpio, if you wanted to. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius, this is a time when I think that you're going to have to be very, very careful, particularly of your health, and that could be the health of your bank balance right now. And that is because the sun, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter in Virgo are squaring your sun sign, and Neptune is also squaring your sun sign, and you have Saturn in your sun sign. But the new moon 2 days ago in Libra does sextile your sun sign, and that means there are nice people around who can be potential partners for you, Sagittarius, and they can help you out. They may have some good legal advice for you, for instance, because Libra does rule the law. And that could help you sort of figure things out, or reset your asset allocations, or simply try to get on a better financial footing. Uranus in Aries is the only planet in another fire sign that is trining your sun sign. And that simply means that if you're going to sort of get out of some sort of stagnant situation, which you might be in right now, you might have to go back to something you've done before and just give it another try. And so I hope you do. It's better than staying where you are, which could make you feel very cramped and closed in right now, and that isn't good for you, Sagittarius. So try at least go back to something that you did before, and you'll get on firmer ground that way. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, This is an excellent time for you because I think the power is in your hands. And the reason why is that the 3 planets in Virgo, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter, are all trining Pluto in your sun sign, and Jupiter is exactly trining Pluto in your sun sign, and that simply means that upon close examination of the bits and pieces of a work record or some sort of accomplishments that you've done, even if you think they're small, they have been very steady and reliable. They can make a real difference in your life right now and add up to the truth about you, Capricorn. And the truth is that you are very dependable and you are very trustworthy. And that's what people want. They don't want flash and dash. They don't want a lot of speed. They want to be able to trust somebody now because it's sort of an uncertain world out there. And so I think that your stock is going up, Capricorn, and you may be put into a position of a promotion or a reward, or there can be some sort of power that comes to you right now, which you richly deserve. So congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, remember I said there are no planets in any of the fixed signs, so there's nothing squaring or opposing your sun sign, and that new moon 2 days ago, along with the sun and Mercury, trined your sun sign. That simply means there's somebody very nice headed your way, probably with good news, and it might be good news about some legal matter as well, or at least they'd have very good legal advice for you, Aquarius, and that could point you in a new direction. Because at the same time, the emphasis is on the earth signs and close examination of the bits and pieces of truth that have to add up right now. If they don't, then people are going to have to start over. And so there is still the possibility that you'll have to start over, but that might be based on some very good news that you're about to get, Aquarius, which I think will delight you. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this simply means that this is a time with the new moon being 150 degrees away from your sun sign or in conjunct, that you may not be too interested in partnership or legal matters right now. You might be very absorbed in having to come up with the bits and pieces of facts about a work record or about your health, because Venus, Mars, and Jupiter in Virgo are opposing your sun sign, and Saturn in Sagittarius is squaring it. So you really have to get your health in the best shape you can right now, Pisces. And also, if you want to make a dream come true, you might have to put that on hold for a little while you concentrate simply on material matters. That means if you're in school, getting your grades up. In all cases, it means you're going to have to work harder now, Pisces, in order to sort of prove your value. And that's going to go on for another 2 years. But that's just the way it is right now with Saturn squaring your sun. So it's going to take a lot more hard work on your part, but there can be a very nice reward for that in 2 years as well. So good luck. All right, thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see the show anytime you want by subscribing to it on our website, starborninstitute.org. Bye.